it's pretty far out that we're watching this churn take place. Here's a look at the wide view. I want to give you some perspective on where that storm is. It's near the northeastern Caribbean, kind of not too far from the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. We'll zoom in because tonight those flights actually detected that it was rapidly intensifying. You can see a little tiny eye. This is the core of the storm. These are just big storms on the south side. That's the actual core of the storm. The pressure's been falling quickly, and that rapid intensification, which is a quickly strengthening storm, you could see it ramping up to a strong Category 4 sometime this weekend. 145, maybe 150 miles per hour. It could go higher than that before it starts to tail off a little bit by the end of the weekend. So this is the 11 p.m. advisory. Winds are up to 100 miles per hour. Remember, just this afternoon, it was 70 miles per hour. So we've seen a pretty rapid strengthening there. This churn is well forecasted. How narrow the cone is tells you the confidence in the forecast. As it churns north, you'll notice a little jog to the northeast as well, away from the Carolinas and the East Coast. And we're getting more and more confident that that's going to be the case. Now, it could still be as far west as here or as far east as here because the cone of uncertainty shows where the center could be 5 days out. But look at the model tracks. Now that we have all this data from the hurricane hunters, they're clustering together, and all of them, every single one of them, is well offshore. So that's a good sign. That's some good consistency. And even when we look at the forecasted tropical storm force winds, not even hurricane force, barely a 5 to 10% chance clipping the Outer Banks. The Outer Banks will see the most significant indirect impacts, likely storm surge, some waves, rip currents, as well as some overwash. The Outer Banks get impacted by storms that are very far offshore all the time. But everybody on the East Coast is going to see rough surf. That's the biggest indirect impact we'll see. No rain or wind for the most part, but it's going to be those big waves which are going to batter the East Coast for the middle of next week and create dangerous rip currents. Those rip currents are the most dangerous part of the storm for folks along the East Coast. For us, we saw some storms tonight. We're not going to be worrying about Aaron. We're going to be watching the potential for some warm afternoons back in the low 90s tomorrow, 20 to 30% chance of isolated afternoon storms. Charlotte FC home match tomorrow against Real Salt Lake. Those temperatures very warm, so make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Great game in Uptown tomorrow with temperatures cooling off into the low 80s as the game goes on. Now, our forecast is going to dry out. Weak area of low pressure. That's actually going to be something we'll watch to see the steering currents out there as well. Hurricane Center gives it a 10% chance of development. No big deal for us because it's moving away. In fact, our rain chances over the next 5 days, that's more typical summer pattern, just a 20 to 30% chance through the middle of next week. Here's your 7-day forecast. We're going to see temperatures both days this weekend in the low 90s. Feels like 100 plus. Still warm starting next week, but a little bit of cool down noticeable by the time we go into next weekend, which is the last weekend of summer for a lot of students, especially those at CMS.
Yeah, indeed. The time has come. Brad, thank you.